So last week we skipped the Shiur in English, and many people asked me why, and they were very disappointed. So let me share with you. Maybe it was a mistake, but let me share with you. For many weeks, the parasha that we read every week in America and Chutz La'aretz is different than what we read in Eretz Yisrael. So some people turned to me recently and asked me, most of the people listening to the English here don't live in Israel, don't live in Eretz Yisrael, but rather in Chutz La'aretz, and they would like to hear something on their parsha. So this week, until Matas Masai, until we're all together on the same page, the Shiur in English will be on the parsha that we read in Golus, not in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, there will be two different Shiurim, the one in Lashon Kodesh and the one in English. So last week we read Bahaloischo in Eretz Yisrael, and this week we read Bahaloischo elsewhere. Bahaloischo es anerois, el mul pneim anero yeiru shivas aneros. I don't want to give a Shiur on Ner Chanukah, because it's not Chanukah right now, and we could discuss Adlukas and Ner Beis HaMikdash, but I always prefer talking about something that is relevant to Halacha L'Maisa, so we will talk about Ner Shabbos. Ner Shabbos mitzvah. Not only mitzvah, but choiva. It is one of the most beloved mitzvahs. It's not a mitzvah chamura. So let me share with you a sentiment. I am very deeply involved with the Kiruv movement. And I spent a lot of time with organizations and individuals that are involved in Kiruv. L'karev lev Yisrael el Avinu shebashamayim. And many times when people ask me, when we start teaching Hilchos Shabbos, what is the most important thing? And my response might seem very strange to some. And I say, especially with women and with girls, Ner Shabbos. But Malachas Shabbos is Kores and Mises Beis. Isn't it more important that we teach people how to avoid and prevent doing a Malacha and Shabbos? Save them from Kores, Misa B'dei Shemayim, Mises Beis. Ner Shabbos is only a Misa D'Rabbanan. It's not such a big inyan. That is true. But in Kiruv, we always need to try to figure out the end game. What is the result? And especially to women and to girls, Ner Shabbos has so much sentimental importance, so much emotion. There is something in a Ner that touches a Yiddish neshama. And it should be no wonder. No wonder. In Moed Kotten Daf Chafei, when the Gemara says, Woimed al ameis b'shas yitzias neshama chayev l'kroya, when you see a person passing away, returning his neshama to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's like seeing a Sefer Torah being burnt. Rashi writes, Shnei devorim nimshu l'ner, Torah, ner mitzvah v'Torah or, nishmas ha'odam shenemar, ner Hashem nishmas ha'odam. So a Jewish neshama has something to do with a ner, and Ner Shabbos carries so much emotion for Bnei Yisrael, for Neshos Yisrael. So, I just want to stress the significance, the importance of Ner Shabbos in every Jewish home. When a woman stands, covers her eyes, davens for her children. This past Sunday was my late wife's yortzeit, fourth yortzeit. And it was a very private yortzeit. You know, the first yortzeit we made a big public kenes with divrei musar, with divrei chizuk. But this is the fourth yortzeit. It was very private, but I got together with my family and I told my children about my wife's last Hadlokas Ner Shabbos. Friday afternoon, she passed away Sunday morning. She was very, very ill on that day of Shabbos. And she was worried that she won't be able to wait out Adlukas Ner Shabbos. So, you know, she was on the edge asking me, when could I light? When could I light? When is the plug? Because she was very concerned that she might miss Adlukas Ner Shabbos. So we made an early Kabbalah Shabbos, and she covered her eyes. And she cried and her body was shaking. And, I had to be the strong one. So I went to the other corner of the room, like Yitzchak le'noichach ishtoi, and I cried as much as she did. And that was the very last time she was madlik ner Shabbos. And like every ishuk she'er b'Yisrael, covered her eyes, davened for her children. And I told my children and grandchildren when we got together this Sunday that I believe that those tefillas will be with them till the end of our days and their days. So Ner Shabbos has so much importance and significance. So today we will be discussing the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. Chof Ches Omid Beis Mesechet Shabbos. The Mishnah says, Ein Madlikim Be'itran. And the Gemara says, why? Shemo Yetze, because Itran has a very bad smell. So it'll disturb him and it'll leave the Suda and it'll go into another room. And Abai says, Yetze. If he wants to leave, let him leave. So what's the big deal? Rava says, Ner Shabbos Choiva. We don't want him to leave. We want him to be there with the Ner Shabbos because Ner Shabbos Choiva. Chlokes Rashi and Tosfos. Rashi says Ner Shabbos Choiva Mishum Kvod Shabbos. Tosfos says Oineg Shabbos. Both these mitzvahs are in Novi Yeshayahu. V'karosa l'Shabbos Oineg u'lekedosh Hashem mechubad. This very same posuk we learn Oineg Shabbos and Kvod Shabbos. So according to Rashi, Ner Shabbos is Mishum Kvod Shabbos. According to Tosfos, Oineg Shabbos. Both explain Rava. Abaye says, if he doesn't like the smell, let him leave the room. Rava says no. And my interpretation of the Gemara is, Ner Shabbos is a chiyuv by Suda Shabbos where you eat. That is Kvod Shabbos, that is Oineg Shabbos. It is Oineg Shabbos to enjoy your meal and see what you're eating and see the people that are eating together with you, not sitting in the dark. So you could be Makayim the mitzvah of Suda Shabbos of Alecha Mishnah, but that's not Oineg Shabbos. According to Rashi, it's not Kvod Shabbos. It's not a cover to eat in the dark. According to both Rashi and Tosfos, the Kpeda is to have an Ner Shabbos b'mkoyim haseudo. And that is something which Abaye did not understand. According to Abaye, Abaye must agree there's a mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. Nobody says there is no mitzvah of Ner Shabbos, but Abaye says doesn't need to be Mumukum Suda. If he doesn't like it, he'll leave. He was there before. He'll come back after. If he feels uncomfortable eating where there's a bad smell, let him leave. Rava says no. Mitzvah of Ner Shabbos needs to be b'mokoyim achilas hasuda. So that is one source of mitzvah Ner Shabbos. Chof Ches Omid Beis. But there's a Gemara before that, Chof Gimel Omid Beis. The Gemara asks Ner Beis of Ner Chanukah, which comes first. For a person only has enough oil for one candle. And it's Shabbos Chanukah. So which of the two mitzvahs has precedence? They can't come together. Because Ner Shabbos is all about mitzvah l'shtamish la'orei. Ner Chanukah also l'shtamish la'orei. So you can't have the same candle to serve as Ner Chanukah and Ner Shabbos. Ner Chanukah needs to be al Pesach Beisim v'chutz. Ner Shabbos needs to be indoors. So which comes first? The Gemara says Ner Beisei Koidem. Mishum Shloim Bayis. So all the poskim understand Ner Shabbos is Mishum Shlom Bayis. That is the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. So b'pashtus, two different mitzvahs, two different aspects, two different objectives we want to achieve. Shloim Bayis, that's the Gemara Chof Gimel Amid Beis. Oineg Shabbos or Kvod Shabbos, that is the Gemara Chof Ches Amid Beis. It would be somewhat of a chiddush to say there are two different concepts regarding Ner Shabbos. And therefore, at the beginning of this year, I want to share with you my mahalach. And I know it's a big chiddush, but I'm thoroughly convinced it's Torah Emes. So the Rambam brings the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos twice. Perek Halacha Aleph. And once again, Perek Lamed, Halacha Aleph. And the Rambam writes in Perek Lamed Ner Shabbos is about Kavoid Shabbos. Perek Hey, quoting the Posuk in Yeshayahu, Oinig Shabbos. So the Rambam brings both. Machlokes Rashi Tosfos Chof Ches Amud Beis. However, the Rambam, in the entirety of Hilchos Shabbos, 30 Prokim, the Rambam does not mention the halacha of Shlom Bayis. And why is that? Why is that? Ner Shabbos becomes before Ner Chanukah Mishum Shlom Bayis. Where does the Rambam bring this halacha, Shlom Bayis? Dafkan Hilchos Chanukah, the very last halacha in Hilchos Chanukah, Perek Daled Halacha Yud Daled. So my conclusion would be, Shlom Bayis has nothing to do with Ner Shabbos, and therefore it's not brought in Hilchos Shabbos. Ner Shabbos is not about Shlom Bayis. It's about Oinig Shabbos and Kavoid Shabbos. But the Gemara says, Ner Shabbos comes before Chanukah Mishum Shlom Bayis. And the Rambam in the very last halacha in Hilchos Chanukah writes, Ner Beisoy comes before Ner Chanukah Mishum Shlom Bayis. Sometimes I apologize, and I do it right now again. I need to turn around, taking a Rambam out of the Svarim Shop. So, in my opinion, Ner Shabbos, according to the Rambam, Oinig Shabbos, Kavoid Shabbos, nothing to do with Shlom Bayis. Actually, the Gemara Shabbos Chov Gimel, the Gemara asks, Ner Beisoy veNer Chanukah Eize Koidem. The Lashon of the Gemara is not Ner Shabbos veNer Chanukah. Ner Beisoy veNer Chanukah. So the Rambam understands from this Gemara, it's either Ner Chanukah or Ner Beisoy. Ner Beisoy, by coincidence, by chance, is Ner Shabbos. Because that is the Ner that he lights in his house. He shouldn't eat in the dark. The reasoning of the mitzvah is Oinig Shabbos and Kavoid Shabbos, but factually, it's Ner Beisoy. And Ner Beisoy comes before Ner Chanukah Mishum Shlom Bayis. When people are in the dark, they're going to bump in one to another. One might cause the other to fall, even if they won't bump into one another. But this guy is going to hit the cabinet, that guy is going to hit the bed, this guy is going to fall over a chair, so they'll be angry and agitated and nervous. That is not a good formula for Sholem Bayis. And that's the importance of Ner Beisoy. Actually, the Halachas Ketanas, Chelik Beis Makuf Peyalav, Halachas Ketanas was the Mari Chagis, Rabbi Yankev Chagis, the Rebbe of the Pri Chodesh. And he asks, is the question Ner Shabbos Ner Chanukah Eize Koidem only relevant Leil Shabbos? Or the 8 days of Chanukah? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Motzei Shabbos, if he has only one candle. What comes first? Having light in the home? People shouldn't be nervous and angry and shouldn't fight around. Or Ner Chanukah? So the Halachas Ketana says, only Ner Shabbos comes before Ner Chanukah. It is Sholem Bayis combined with the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? The Gemara says Ner Beisoy. The Gemara doesn't refer to Ner Shabbos. And the Gemara says, why is Ner Beisoy koidem? Shlom Bayis. Mashma Shlom Bayis is reason enough, not combined with mitzvahs Ner Shabbos. But I do understand where the Halachas is coming from. The Rambam clearly deals with Shabbos, not in the middle of the week. However, in Ritva is Mefurash, even in the middle of the week, Ner Beisoy comes before Ner Chanukah. So I want to say Chidush al Gabe Chidush, and listen carefully. Ner Shabbos has nothing to do with Shlom Bayis. Kadosh Baruch Hu wants people to love each other and be friendly to each other and have Shalom Bayis not only Shabbos, but the entire week. And Shalom Bayis is an important inyan, an important mitzvah every day and every night and every moment in which a family lives together. Has nothing to do with Shabbos. By the middle of the week, Rishus never overrides mitzvah, as important as the Rishus may be. It never overrides or pushes aside a mitzvah. And therefore, if you don't have enough oil or wicks or matches to light Ner Beisoy and Ner Chanukah, you need to light Ner Chanukah. What's going to be with Shalom Bayis? You're going to need to make an effort to be nice to each other, even if it is dark. If you need, take a pill. Buy flowers for your wife. Buy chocolate for your kids. Let them all be happy, even though you don't have enough light. Because Ner Beisoy throughout the week is not a mitzvah. And a mitzvah also always overrides a rishus. What is not a mitzvah? Ner Shabbos is a mitzvah. So which has the upper hand? Ner Chanukah or Ner Shabbos? Both are the Rabbanon. Ner Chanukah is Persum and Issa. Ner Shabbos has precedence. Why is that? Shalom Bayis. So on one hand, Ner Shabbos is a mitzvah. And if it's a mitzvah, it is a legitimate question. Which of the two mitzvahs comes first? And this is the second huge chiddush I'm explaining to you. A mitzvah might have precedence over another for a reason that is not associated with the essence of the mitzvah. As a mitzvah, Chanukah should come before Shabbos, because Chanukah is persumenis. However, Ner Shabbos, coincidentally, is also Ner Beisoy. It also enhances Shalom Bayis. And therefore it comes before Ner Chanukah. So it might seem strange to you. If Ner Shabbos is not about Shalom Bayis, why would Shalom Bayis be relevant and give precedence and preference to Ner Shabbos over Ner Chanukah? Shalom Bayis has nothing to do with Ner Shabbos. And in my opinion, it has nothing to do with Ner Shabbos. Ner Shabbos is Kvod Shabbos and Onik Shabbos, and that's why the Rambam doesn't even bring the concept of Shalom Bayis and Hilchos Shabbos. So I want to bring a Raya Meforeshes from a Gemara in a totally different area. Chulin Kuf Mem Aleph. What do we have there? The Gemara dazens Shalech Teshalech Esuem, the mitzvah of Shiluach Haken. What's the Kefel HaLoshen? Why does this word appear twice? Shalech Teshalech. Afilu Tzipor Mitzoyro. So you have one bird, but you have a mitzvah to send that bird away. Shalech Teshalech Esuem. But a Metzoyre needs that bird, L'taharas HaMetzoyre, needs Shnei Tziporim. So which mitzvah overrides the other? Taharas HaMetzoyre or Shiluach HaKen? The Gemara says, Shalach Teshalach, to teach us Shiluach HaKen overrides Taharas HaMetzoyre. And the Gemara asks, that would be a mitzvah de Pshita, because Taharas HaMetzoyre is only a mitzvah to say. Shiluach HaKen is a asay velo ta'aseh. Ein asay doicha lo yisaseh ve'eseh. So it's a pashtus. Why do we need a posuk that Shiluach HaKen comes before Taharas HaMetzoyre? The Gemara answers, we want to have a havamina that Taharas HaMetzoyre comes before, because Prior Reveal. And Metzoyre is Machutz Lamach, and he can't be with his wife. And therefore Prior Reveal and Shalom Bayis would override the mitzvah of Shalach Teshalech Esuem. Komash Malan Shalach Teshalech overrides Taharas HaMetzoyre. So Taharas HaMetzoyre is not because of Prior Reveal, it's not of Shalom Bayis, it's a din and tumah v'tahara. But the side effect is Prior Reveal, Shalom Bayis, and therefore there would be a havamina. Taharas HaMetzoyre comes before Shalach Teshalech Esuem, Shiluach HaKen. So this Gemara proves, when the result of a mitzvah is a very important ethical value, even though it's not the essence of the mitzvah. Taharas HaMetzora is a din and tumah tahara. But factually, practically, this is the result. That would give weight and significance to the mitzvah of Taharas HaMetzora. And I say the same regarding Ner Shabbos. Ner Shabbos is not associated with Sholem Bayis. Ner Beisoi is Mishum Sholem Bayis. And that is the candle, the light you have at home, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other day. But in Shabbos, it happens to be Ner Shabbos. The very same Ner that we have a mitzvah lighting, Mishum Kvod Shabbos v'Yonik Shabbos. But the result is Shalom Bayis, and therefore it overrides Ner Chanukah. But in the middle of the week, it's not a mitzvah. A Rishus could never override a mitzvah. So no, I know what I said now is a gewaltige chiddush. But I do think it's Toras Emes. Chiddush al gabe chiddush. One is contrary to the Havon of all other Achroinim and Poiskim, and maybe early Poiskim. Ner Shabbos is not Mishum Shalom Bayis. Now, I know that many Poiskim say differently. I am mefarish the Rambam. I never impose my opinions on others. I don't say kablu dati. What I say, I learn from the Rambam, because the Rambam doesn't bring Shalom Bayis and the entirety of Hilchos Shabbos. He does write Yonik Shabbos and Kvod Shabbos, not Shalom Bayis. How does the Rambam interpret Shalom Bayis? So why is the Rambam mashmit? Why does he leave out Shalom Bayis? Many Achronim deal with this question and they come up with different ideas. To Sefer Shabbos, Orcha Shulchan. And I disagree with their conclusion. But the Orcha Shulchan, Reish Samach Gimel Sif Aleph Beis, writes that the Rambam's interpretation of Shalom Bayis is Yonik Shabbos. It's Yonik Shabbos. That is Shalom Bayis. People should enjoy the meal, sit together. Totally unreasonable to me. Because Shalom Bayis and Yonik Shabbos are two different sugyas. One is Chof Ches, Choiva, and it's clear that Shalom Bayis, Yonik Shabbos, Kvod Shabbos is only b'mokim Seuda, and the Rambam makes this very clear. What does it have to do with Shalom Bayis? All the other parts of your home. But even far more than that. We need to learn the last halacha in Hilchos Chanukah to understand the Rambam's interpretation. What is Shalom Bayis? Let me read it to you. Hoyer von of Ner Beisoi v'Ner Chanukah, or Ner Beisoi v'Kiddush Yom Ner Beisoi Koidem, Mishum Shalom Beisoi. Sharei Hashem nimcha klase Shalom ben ish leishtoi, Godel HaShalom, shekol HaTorah nitna lase Shalom b'yolim shenemet rochei odakanoyim, b'chol esivasei Shalom. So the Rambam's interpretation of Shalom Bayis is the general concept of peace in the world, peace ben odom lechaveiroi, ben ish leishtoi, ben av lebonov. Doesn't have to do with Yonik Shabbos. It is the general ethical gewaldige principle in morals and ethics of Shalom b'yolam. Kol HaTorah nitna kedei la'aseh Shalom b'yolam. That's not Yonik Shabbos. And therefore I totally disagree with the Orcha Shulchan. And my interpretation would be, as I said, Shalom Bayis is a side result, it's a side effect of Ner Shabbos. But because of Shalom Bayis, Ner Shabbos overrides Ner Chanukah, and we find a similar phenomena regarding Taharas HaMetzora. There would be a Havamin, it overrides Asei V'Lois Shel Sheluach HaKat. Is the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos min HaTorah mid'Rabbanan? The Rambam clearly says, Perikei Halacha Aleph is mid'Rabbanan. Mishum Yonik Shabbos, Mishum Kvod Shabbos, Medivrei Kabbalah. The Yereim, Rabbi Elazar Memetz, one of the Balei Toises, Tzadik Tes and Kuf, brings the two mitzvahs, Yonik Shabbos and Kvod Shabbos. And he says, Ner Shabbos is min HaTorah, Alocha LaMoshe Messinai, V'osi Yeshayo V'asmechei Akro. That's a big chiddush. He says, Asmeche akro. The pasuk is an asmach, but actually it's halacha l'Moshe Messinai. The Chassam Sofer wants to impose this assumption on Das Rambam as well, and he says that Rambam calls divrei soifrim what is not mafurish b'Torah, as we know from other sources. And Devarim Chidush. Two more points I just want to touch. We find in Chazal that Ner Shabbos is a mitzvah that belongs to the women. 3 mitzvahs: Rosh Hashanah, Nida, Ner Shabbos. The Rambam, Perikei Halacha Gimel, writes that the reason the woman puts on the light or lights the candles, same challah, is because Mitzuya Babayis. She's the one that's in the kitchen. She's the one that know where the oil is and where the matches are. Husband is not even supposed to know. So according to the Rambam, it's just a practicality that the woman is mafresh challah and she is madlekas ner Shabbos. But according to Midrash Chazal, no, it's more in Pnimius. These mitzvahs, as if belong to the Eishes Chayil, Akeres Abayis. Pesach Hadvir, one of the Choshevs, the Svom Shulchan Aruch, Chaim Reish Samach Gimel, quotes Rabbi Yankev Emdin. It's an amazing halacha. That if a husband decided 1 week, I want to be madlik ner Shabbos, and 5 minutes before his wife was ready, he's madlik ner Shabbos. She wants to put on the candle. She sees somebody did it before me. That's the husband. He needs to pay his wife asora zehuvim kedin choitev mitzvah. Choitev mitzvah mechaveroi tzorach l'shalom asora zehuvim. The source of this halacha is in Masechet Chulin regarding Kisui Hadam. Hashoichet, he has the mitzvah of Kisui Hadam. Somebody else did it, he needs to pay him asora zehuvim. A husband is madlik ner Shabbos, he needs to pay his wife asora zehuvim. That's an amazing chiddush. According to the Rambam, no, it doesn't make sense. Just a technicality that the woman lights ner Shabbos, but the husband has the same mitzvah as his wife. He is yaitzu with her, she could be yaitzu with him. But in Pnimius, in Agadata, the mitzvah belongs to the women. And as I mentioned before, when we see B'nois Yisrael Aksheres covering their eyes, davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with so much emotion and so much fervor, we could appreciate why the women got this mitzvah, not the men. When they daven for their kindalach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should guide them and help them and steer them to a life of Avos Torah and Yir Shamayim and Simcha and Nachas. Just a brief comment. I won't go into this because I wrote this in my tshuvas. Some people question Bisman Hazeh. There's electricity. Is there still a mitzvah of Ner Shabbos? And I think there definitely is still a mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. Electricity isn't relevant. There is no shiur to the Sefer Soira. And therefore, I think you do not need to put off the lights when you light and then put them back on. Hanach lebnei Yisrael lo neviim b'nei neviim. Until recent years, we never heard of such a minig. Avoseinu, imahoseinu. Litner Chanukah with a brocha, even though electricity, the lights were on. V'kach la'ui la'asois. So I mentioned, Ner Chanukah might not be the mitzvah chamura b'yoysa al pi halacha, but it touches your heart more than many other mitzvahs that are far more important. A Yiddish neshama, nimshal lener. This week's Pasha, Balois Chos HaNeiros, Lomo Nismacho Pashas HaNasiyim LePashas HaNeiros, Rashi brings. Aaron HaKoyen saw the sacrifices that all the Nasiyim brought, the Karbonis, the Zvochem, the Menachas, V'chol Shudate, Shalo Yori Moim. And Aaron was dismayed and disturbed and saddened that he didn't have the schus to bring Karbonis like all the Nasiyim. Neither did his Shevet Levi wasn't part of this. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells him, you have no reason to be saddened. Shalcho godol mishaluhem, shato meita v'madlek as haneiros. So why is his avodah greater and more important than theirs? One could argue their avodah was one time, okay, a moment of glory. But your mitzvah is ongoing each and every day as long as the Beis Mikdash will stand. Hundreds and hundreds of years, Shevet Levi, Kohen Gadol, is madlik de menorah b'chol yom v'yom. But that doesn't seem Rashi's point. Shalcha Godel mishalem she'ato meito v'madlik es haneros. What seems to be clear from this Rashi, Adlukas haneros, is more significant, more important, more central than the korbanos. Why is that? Shloishu klei migdosh. The entirety of Avodas HaMikdash centers around three basic kelim. Three kelim in the Heichel. Menorah, Mizbeach, Shulchan. There's another Mizbeach in the Azorah, Mizbeach HaChitzon. But in essence, these three kelim are the entirety of Avodas Beis HaMikdash. Every day Tamidenu Musafen, not every day Musaf, but Tomet Shel Shachar, Tomet Shel Bein Habayim. Every day Adlukas v'Adlukas HaMenorah. Every day K'toiras. And every Shabbos, Lechem upon him on the Shulchan. All the other kelim were supplementary. And these three avodas are connected: Torah, avoda, and chesed. Menorah is Torah. Ner mitzvah v'Torah or. Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah all are associated with Torah and the Menorah and Beis HaMikdash. Rashi, Chav Gimel Amid Beis HaMesechet Shabbos. Harugel bener haven benin talmid chachomim. Rashi writes Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah, two different mitzvahs. Ner Shabbos, Oinig Shabbos, Kvoid Shabbos, Sholem Bayis, Ner Chanukah Pesumei Nisa. But Ner is a Ner, and Ner is always associated with Torah and with mitzvahs, Kiner mitzvah v'Torah. The Mizbeach is avoida. Rabbeinu Yonah writes, "Shlosh dvorim olam oimed." Avoida means avodas Beis HaMikdash. Le'achar chorban Beis HaMikdash, it means tefillah. Mizbeach hachitzon. Three tefillas are connected korbanos. Mizbeach hapnimi. K'toides. Tikun tefillah sig toides lefonecho masas kapei minchas orav. Shulchan indicates chesed. Gemara in Zvochem and Chagiga Chav Zayin. Shelchon and Shalodam Achapik Mizbeach. Rashi and Tosis both explain Chnos Esorcha. Al Shloishe Dvoram Oila Moimed Al Torah Al Avodah Gemilas. However, the Zohar HaKodesh writes in the introduction to Bereshis and in many other sources, three pillars. The central pillar is Torah. Miyaminim and Small, from right and left. The two supporting pillars are Avodah and Chesed. And that is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Aaron, don't be saddened, don't be dismayed. Shalcha godel mishalehem she'ato meitu v'madlik es haneros. Because of all the mitzvahs, every morning we say the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, first Mishnah and Peah. And we all remember Kedushin Daf Mem, Talmud Godel she'Talmud Mei v'ledei Maisa. So the central pillar is Torah. And many times I explained, and I wrote this in Minchas Osha Sichas Al Torah. I think it's in Sichas Al Moedim as well. In the Heichel and in the Azorah, there are three kelim, Menorah, Mizbeach, Shulchan. They're all three important, same level. You can forego none of the three. And a good Jew needs to be perfect and try to achieve perfection in Torah, in Avodah, and in Gemilas Chosodim. But in Pnimius, in Kodesh HaKodeshim, where no human being could place a foot, only the Kohen Gadol once a year in Yom Kippurim. What's in there? What's in Kodesh HaKodeshim? Only one thing. Aroinu Eidus, Luchas Abris Ala Sefer Torah. And where is the Aroin put? Al Even Hashasio. That is the bedrock of the world. Even השסיעו שממנו הושתת העולם. And that comes to teach us. לפני ולפנים. In the world of concealment, of secrecy. באתקסיה ולא באתגליה. Torah reigns supreme. Only Torah. In regard to the practical avodah, Torah avodah gemilas chasodim, they are equally important. However, in Pnimius, Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Aaron, you don't have the right to be disturbed and saddened. They all brought karbonis. Wonderful. Great. What a privilege. Shelcha godel mishalayim. Sha'atu meitem emadla kesaneis. And what this just comes to teach us, the centrality and importance of learning Torah, of kviyas itim leTorah. So my bracha to all of you, we should be kavaya itim leTorah, we should be dovek in Torah, we should appreciate Torah, we should cherish and love Torah, love to learn Torah, because it is the greatest of all the mitzvahs. Have a beautiful Shabbos and Kol Tov.